24 hours for Wilson Contreras, both with his mouth and his bat. So let me start with the news this afternoon. We'll get this out of the way quickly, but Wilson Contreras, according to Chris Cotillo of Mazz Live, I'm sure there were other reporters in the group, but this is a piece of news that did come out of the All-Star Game festivities today in Philadelphia, where the American League will play the National League tonight. Last time was the Home Run Derby. By the way, 617-779-0985. Matt McCarthy is alongside for the full hour here on the Baseball Hour. But let me just share with you that Wilson Contreras today told the media, I'm reading directly now actually from a tweet from Chris Cotillo, Wilson Contreras, and this was about an hour ago, around 5 o'clock-ish, thereabouts. Wilson Contreras says he went to the Red Sox and told them he would not be willing to waive his no-trade clause. He wants to finish his career in Boston, joked that he got out ahead of potential rumors by making his stance clear. And then Cotillo continued in a second tweet. Contreras smiled through it and said it wasn't a, quote, direct, unquote, thing, but he's made himself clear to them. I found my family in Boston, he said. So Wilson Contreras does not want out. So Matt McCarthy, just quickly on this particular piece of information, I think it's notable for two reasons. One, and you and I think, disagree on this, but I would not have traded Contreras at this deadline because I think the Red Sox need right-handed bats. He's been a good one. And so I don't want them to rebuild and have to fill another hole. I would just assume they hold on to Contreras. I don't remember. Did you want to keep him or trade him?
So a month ago, I would have been on board with trading him. Obviously, now that they are back in, I mean, Contreras would have been the first guy I would have taken off the trade market because he's a right-handed hitter. He's a first baseman. They don't have either of those things anywhere else in the organization. It's taken them a long time to find a first baseman. I think he's a good fit for the team. So, given that they've gotten back into it a little bit, this is good news that he doesn't want to go anywhere. I'll certainly say that.
Yeah, so now look, again, and you make a good point. When we were speculating about the trade stuff earlier, the team was out of it. Now they've won 14 out of 16, played their way right back in. And so if you're in it, why would you trade Wilson Contreras? And I would tell you, there are still guys I would consider moving because I'm as focused on 2027 and beyond as well. I don't want them to go into some sort of rebuild and have to all of a sudden reconstruct the whole roster again for 2027. We don't know if there's going to be a season or a partial season or what, but even so, just you have to plan for the fact that there would be one.
Right, and he will help you in 2027. He's under contract. Now, he's getting older, so, it's not like a slam dunk. He's not 26 years old, but he will theoretically help you next year as well.
Okay, now here's the other thing, and this is quickly just a sort of an addendum to this. Sonny Gray, a few weeks ago, said he wanted out. He basically said he wanted out. I'd be open to the discussion if they want to trade me. The Red Sox have had a hard time over 7 or 8 years trying to convince people to come and play here because we're serious again. So I don't think it's a bad thing if a guy who's a pretty good player says, I want to stay. So I'll take it, is my point. I'll take it. I just want to add that because, look, Bregman got out of Dodge.
Yep.
And whether that was over money or whatever it was over, he had no reason to stay in Boston. Mookie Betts probably wanted to leave at the end. I still believe that. Sonny Gray was talking about wanting to get out of Boston just a few weeks ago, before the turnaround, meaning there's nothing that's keeping these guys here. This guy wants to stay, apparently. So take it as a blessing. Now, the real thing I want to talk to you about with Wilson Contreras, comments he made last night before the Home Run Derby with regard to the Red Sox success, the makeup of the roster. I think it was before the Derby. Was it after?
I'm not sure when it specifically was. I'm sure it would have been before the Derby when they had, availability.
That's what I thought.
I would guess.
Okay, so Contreras was asked about the team's performance and the way they've come together here over the last few weeks. The audio is not great, but nonetheless, we'll play it for you here because I think the message is pretty clear. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Boston to me has been the best. The fans, the team, the front office, my teammates. I wouldn't change a thing from Boston. Of course, we are right now in third place, I think. We're not where we want to be, but we are on our way there. We have We're already making adjustments. The team has a really good chemistry, and the energy is there. And the guys that have been calling up from AAA are doing a great job. They're willing to listen, willing to work out, and they're willing to leave their heart on the field, which that's what we want.
Okay, so those things that he said, and it's really the thing at the end that is most important. We have good chemistry. We have good energy. The kids that came up from AAA are willing to listen, work hard, and leave their hearts on the field. So when he talks about the guys coming up from AAA, willing to listen, work hard, leave their hearts on the field. Can I also conclude, Matt, that he means the guys that aren't part of this winning streak weren't doing those things, or am I stretching?
You are not stretching at all, because how many veteran players on this team have made some type of veiled, or in this case, I think not so veiled shot at the young players, and talking about, culture and professionalism. You go back to the Isaiah Kiner-Falefa comments about why they've struggled at home. Mazz, this is now becoming the defining story of the 2026 Boston Red Sox. It's these young players don't get it. They're not professional, and they're better off without them. Now, we can have a debate about how strongly we should say that. But how is that not a factor here? Undeniably, it's a factor. They're playing better baseball without them. There were rumblings, I think, early on in the year about maybe a divide between veteran players and young players. Was the divide simply put, veteran players were looking at the Marcelo Meyer crew and saying, these guys are a bunch of clowns. They're not that interested in baseball. They're more interested in chasing tail in the Seaport. Meyer chases tail and chases breaking balls. Like, he's not very good. So at what point, does that become the only thing we can really talk about with this team? It's that these young players are not cut out for this. And it's important in the context of the 2026 Red Sox, Mazz, but this is a massive question moving forward. Is this young core really just not cut out for it, overhyped, overrated, and not professional enough to succeed in this town? And do you need to seriously contemplate major changes to that young core moving forward? I think that's where we're at. I mean, time after time after time, it feels like a veteran player on this roster is calling these guys out. Are we going to do the same thing again next year? I know you're focused on 2027. Are we going to count on Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony and all those guys and just hand the keys of the franchise over to them again? I'm not convinced they should. I hope they don't.
Okay, so phone lines are open, 617-779-0985. We'll take your calls for the entirety of the hour, and there's a lot to get to on the Red Sox. But let me ask you a follow-up on something you just said, and that is the core. Who are you talking about? Who's in the core?
I'm talking Meyer. I'm talking Anthony. I'm talking Brian Bayo. I'm talking Jarren Duran, not necessarily a young guy at this point. But, these are players that they were, really trying to build around. You could throw Tristan Casas in there. You could throw Connor Wong in there. Abreu and Rafaela have been good. Maybe they've risen above that. But, if we were to go back and rewind and do Baseball Hour in 2023, all the names that we were talking about in 2023 being the core of the next great Red Sox team, for the majority of those guys, Mazz, I can say most of them have failed so far. And I think it's really fair to start questioning how many of them you really should keep around. I think Meyer's the biggest question at this point. Like, he was supposed to be one of the faces of the franchise. It's one of the reasons they let Bogarts walk out the door, because you have the second coming in Marcelo Meyer on the way. He looks like a bust to me. Throw Christian Campbell into the mix too. Like, these are the players that they were supposed to be building around, and it's not working. Not only is it not working on the field, it's definitely not working off the field, to the point where the veteran guys on this roster continue to call these players out. At some point, you have to say, we got to reevaluate how much a part of the future they really are.
Do you put Meyer and Anthony in the same breath?
I do and I don't. Anthony's a better player, so I think we need to treat Anthony differently.
What about off the field? Are they similar people off the field?
I'm increasingly concerned that Roman Anthony is Marcelo Meyer off the field. I've said this for weeks, Mazz. You got to split those two up. I mean, I know they've got their friendship bracelets and they're best friends, and that, they're probably devastated that they're not hanging out together and tearing up the town, given that, Anthony's been sent down to Fort Myers. I think it's interesting that they send Anthony to Fort Myers and they keep Meyer here. It's like, we need to get something out of Roman Anthony. The Red Sox will not reach their ceiling without Roman Anthony in 2026. I can't say the same about Marcelo Meyer. So I think you have to split them up, because if you want to get the most out of Roman Anthony, you need to get the walking distraction that is Marcelo Meyer away from him.
So I'll tell you what, Matt, I was thinking about this more and more today. I don't understand why there's any sort of reason to keep Marcelo Meyer anymore at all. Beyond, like, I've been talking about him in the last 24 hours, as they've entered the All-Star break here, coming off this winning streak of, there's no need to give him his job back, send him back to the minor leagues. Let's see what he does in the minors before you bring him back up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And really, I don't think I've been strong enough on it. The more I think about it, they should trade him. He's got to go. And I'll tell you why he's got to go. One is the thing with Anthony, because you've said this multiple times, and I feel like you have a much better grasp on some of these younger guys than I do, because I think you've been around the minor leagues more than I have. And these guys were in the minor leagues when I think you had your ear to the ground down there. So that is number one. But I'll tell you the second thing, and it's obvious. You've got another shortstop coming.
Yep.
Franklin Arias is in Double-A, ripping it up. He's a top 5 prospect in the sport now. He hits right-handed, and Meyer has done nothing to make you think that he's going to be some sort of star. Even in the minor leagues, he never really hit for a ton of power down there.
No, he did not.
So, it's, there were some good performances, but it was not like he was hitting 15, 20 home runs. He wasn't doing that. And so I think they should move him. It's over. See you later. I'm done with Marcelo Meyer. I don't think there's a reason they can win without him and get the defense from somewhere else. They can get the defense without getting the attitude. And if he's corrupting Roman Anthony at the same time, bye-bye. Adios. Get Franklin Arias here and go from there.
Yeah,
that should be easy, shouldn't it?
Yes and no. Now, it's easier that Bloom isn't here anymore, because that was obviously a Bloom guy. They did put so much, if you want to talk about baseball capital, into Marcelo Meyer, though. He's the highest pick in the history of the franchise. From the day he was drafted, he was talked as if, not talked amongst fans, talked really by the team as if he was going to be the next face of the franchise. They really approached a whole 5-year plan with Marcelo Meyer at the center of it. I think that's another reason why you need to move on from him now, Mazz. Like, you just got to quit the Marcelo Meyer thing. It'll be better for everybody. It'll be better for him, too, if he's not here. It's a great city to be a young person. Send him off to Kansas City. See if he, figures out if he can love baseball playing in Kansas City, wherever that may be. It'll be better for him. It'll be better for Roman Anthony. And you know what? You might be selling low on him. You're definitely selling low on him. Is it going to happen in Boston, though? The fan base is turned on him at this point, and once fans turn on a player, you generally don't get them back. The narrative with Meyer is already out there. The fans view him as nothing more than just some pretty boy partier who, is not going to fulfill his potential. Like, he now is catching the ire of the fans. You think people are going to, turn back on Marcelo Meyer and say, no, we'll still believe in him? I think it's a lost cause almost entirely. From a baseball perspective, from a fan marketing perspective, you name it, you're better off moving on from him. I've been saying this for 2 years, so I'm glad everybody's finally getting on my side.
Yeah, I just think I don't see any reason to keep him anymore. I really don't. Whether he's a number 4 pick or not. So anyway, this is where we start tonight, 617-779-0985. And dare I say that some of these problems with the Red Sox, I think some people saw them coming early in the year. Early in the year. We'll tell you who that was when we come back on the Baseball Hour.
The Baseball Hour.
Boston Celtics off-season coverage on 98.
Months ago, and we do this all the time. We've done it recently with Jaylen Brown, for example, in another sport, where you go back to the finals. Felger did this the other day with Jaylen Brown, and it was a good thing to do. You go back and listen to something someone said, and you're like, oh, well, that's what they meant at that time. That person knew a little bit more than they were letting on. That's Kenny Rosenthal from April. The Red Sox, I think it was like the second or third series of the year. They were playing the Cardinals, and the Cardinals have a player whose name I can never remember. They just signed him to a contract.
Oh, yeah, the infielder.
Yeah.
Why can't I remember his name either?
Begins with an H.
Yep.
But they just signed the guy. They were talking about signing him to a contract.
Weatherholt.
Yeah. And so they just signed him to a contract. He's another one of these young players that their teams are getting out ahead of, or St. Louis is getting out ahead of, signing him to a multi-year deal early on and locking him up. Great, good move. Absolutely. Makes all the sense in the world. But Rosenthal used it as an entry to the Red Sox, and Cora is answered. If you remember, this caused a stink. Cora then got pissed at the media for making a big deal out of it and what have you.
Went after Milliken for it.
Exactly right.
I'm not going to tolerate that.
So, but what Cora said at the time was it changes the dynamic in the clubhouse. He was right. It has. This is part of the issue with Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony. And Meyer doesn't have the contract, but Anthony does.
Well, Meyer had a signing bonus, too. I mean, he was given, what, $6 million, $7 million at the age of 18?
So there you go. It's right. These guys get empowered at a young age. And I will tell you that I saw a video of Marcelo Meyer early in the year that the Red Sox put up in spring training of him just bouncing around doing drills with other teammates. And I made a passing reference to it at the time. And I thought, okay, he's a kid. But all he did was kind of clown around with other guys on the team. And I thought, does this guy take baseball seriously? And I sort of just let it go through my head, and maybe I should have reacted to it more aggressively than I did. But then, I watch him post-game, and that backwards hat bugs the crap out of me, Matt. It does, because especially with a young guy, it just oozes, I've been around forever, I can do whatever the F I want. And so there's a vibe with him of, man, you haven't done anything.
I'm coming in with my backwards hat tomorrow.
For a guy that acts like the cock of the walk, okay, he is just not... He hasn't done anything. And so I look at Marcelo Meyer and say, that guy would really rub me the wrong way. And, for example, Ken Griffey, early in his career, used to wear his hat backwards.
Yep.
Okay, there were people that complained about it. He was Ken Griffey Jr.
Right.
Okay, he was the number one pick in the draft. He was one of the great talents in the history of the game. Like, he lived up to the hype. And at that point, I sort of look at it and go, you can do whatever the hell you want. With Meyer, it comes off as unjustly flipped.
Yeah, it's California cool. It can't be bothered.
So there's just, to me, there is something there with that player in particular that has got people's attention who've been around the game. Whether it's veteran players, whether it's Cora, there is something with that guy's attitude that has rubbed people the wrong way. I wouldn't give him another sniff when he comes back.
He's not interested in playing baseball, and he never has been. I mean, this is probably about 2 years ago now, Mazz. When Meyer got up to Double-A, he was there for a couple of days and then got hurt. Didn't play the rest of the year. So he got promoted maybe in early August, got hurt, was done for the rest of the year.
I remember that.
Ian Cundall, who's as tied in as anybody, Sox Prospects Now, Baseball America. Ian Cundall and Chris Hatfield on the Sox Prospects podcast talked about, they basically alluded to, I think a couple members of the Red Sox organization would like to see Meyer play through some of these bumps and bruises. Right there and then I said, oh no, not good, because Meyer hasn't finished any professional baseball season he's started. He ends the year every single year on the injured list.
Is that true? He has not finished a single season?
That's correct.
At any level.
I can look that up. He may have finished his first year.
A-ball.
Which would have been rookie ball, A-ball.
So nothing above A-ball anyway.
Let me look this up, but I'm 99.9% certain that's true. He has not finished any year he's played.
Okay, so that's a scary thing unto itself.
Rookie ball, yeah, he played 26 games. Then in 2002, 91 games, didn't finish that year.
22, yep.
Yep, 23, 78 games, didn't finish that year. 24, 77 games, didn't finish that year. 25.
Got injured here.
Got injured here.
And now he's hurt again.
Right, he played 70 games here. I'll be honest, Mazz, when he got hurt, it's like, all right, well, that's the end of the year for him because he played, let's see, just about 80 games in 2025. Okay. So, this is it. He plays 70, 80 games, taps out. He's good. Summertime hits. It's a great time to be doing. He's off doing whatever Marcelo Meyer does. Okay, let me take this call. I want to get to I have more questions for you about Marcelo Meyer and really about the difference between him and Anthony, because I think it's a big question that the Red Sox have. Rich is in Millbury on Trevor's Story. Go ahead, Rich.
I'll be honest, man. When he got
Rich, turn your radio down.
Rich, are you there?
He played, let's see,
Jesus.
Okay, I'm gonna put him on hold and see if he comes back, and we'll try him later. In the interim, are you doing headlines or is Majori doing them?
Got Majori tonight.
Okay, Majori's going to do headlines here. Don't go anywhere. He'll get you caught up on the latest, including what Wilson Contreras said at the All-Star game today about his no-trade.
A little bit more than a week. And that's what happens when you have all these teams clumped together like that.
Jeff Passan of ESPN talking about the Red Sox move in the standings. And look, again, I agree with him. The story right now is the American League. Mm-hmm. The fact that you could have 2 good weeks and go from one of the worst teams in baseball to now on the cusp of the playoffs is an indictment on the American League.
No doubt.
So I'm making it more about the league. And that is, until the Red Sox get over 500 and in possession of a playoff spot, then I can look at them and say, okay, well, you have a winning record and you're in. So you got to be doing something right. But I need to see it get to that first. And they're not far from that. I'm not telling you. But, I've seen it a million times, Matt, where teams have, just getting close to 500 and can't get over.
Yep.
And it happens a lot.
Sure does.
I mean, there is a real sort of mental hurdle there, psychological barrier that, teams are kind of striving for it and they can't get over it. And, I said this earlier today that the season is obviously, in baseball more than any other, is a grind. The sport is designed to break you down. That's what it's built to do. You got to show up and go to work every day and play a game, and it's going to beat the hell out of you, and you're going to be mentally exhausted, and one day off is going to feel like a week off when you finally get one. Which brings me back to Anthony and Meyer, because we're lumping the two of them together. And Felger says, I feel like Anthony gets more of a pass than Meyer does. I said, well, he definitely does. They're not the same guy. Okay, so it's okay. Well, they're both young players. Yeah, but that doesn't mean they're the same. They have the exact same qualities. So let me ask you this question: the ability is different. Okay, Anthony was the number 1 prospect in the sport. Aside from the ability, what differentiates one from the other, or do you lump them together? I don't
lump them together. I think they're increasingly getting closer together than I would like, which is why Meyer needs to go. There were questions about Meyer and his professionalism and his willingness to play through injuries, and frankly, his ability coming up through the minor leagues. You just had to pay attention to it. It was very subtle. It was under the radar, but it was there. None of that stuff existed with Roman Anthony.
Exactly.
He was actually always, lauded for his professionalism and, all of that. Now, it's been well known that he and Meyer are very close, very tight. They came up together through the minor leagues, and, I think they've only grown closer over the years. Nobody ever questioned Roman Anthony's toughness before. There'd be some injuries here and there in the minor leagues, but he never had a Marcelo Meyer, it's August 2nd, I need to shut it down, season's over kind of thing. He never had any of that. So the fact that this has happened this year, it is much more Marcelo Meyer-esque. So I can see why people would lump them together. I won't, I can't in the big picture. In this moment, I'll lump them together because I do question Anthony's professionalism. I do think there's a reason they've sent him to Fort Myers. There's obviously a reason. It does not have to do with baseball. It has to do with attitude, professionalism, whatever you want to say. You're not sending the future face of your franchise and still your best hitter to Fort Myers for any other reason. You're certainly not sending them there because the clubhouse is crowded. You're not doing that. So there is some of that. I can't, moving forward, say that those two are one and the same. They're just not, both on the field and off. But I'm concerned they're getting a little bit closer together off the field. That's a major concern.
Okay, so what you're talking about is Meyer's influence on Anthony is, so let me put it to you this way. And again, I'm asking you questions that are completely hypothetical, but work with me. If Roman Anthony were injured, the same stuff were happening with the dispute over the finger and the ligament and what have you. Surgery, no surgery, tear, sprain, whatever. You get the idea. But Marcelo Meyer was not part of the picture. Would they have sent him to Fort Myers?
Probably not. Probably
So
not.
you think it was to split them up?
Well, in some ways, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a factor. And that's in a vacuum. Like, if Meyer weren't here, would they send him to Fort Myers? They'd have one less reason to send him to Fort Myers, that's for sure. I think it's curious that it happened shortly after Meyer goes on the injured list. So, on top of it, there's a disagreement over whether or not he's actually hurt. So I'm sure that's one reason. It's like, oh, all right, you think you're really hurt? Okay, we're sending you to Fort Myers where the really hurt guys are. Because you know this, Mazz. I mean, you go to the spring training facility in the middle of the year, that's where they send the true long-term rehabbers. It's like guys who are going away for a while, that's where they send them. So, okay, well, you think you're that hurt? All right, well, you go to Fort Myers. But at the same time, too, there's probably a lot going on at Fenway Park, as they've talked about, a lot going on in Boston. These guys are seen out and about all the time. So the fact that Meyer's here is probably another reason why they said, it's probably a little bit better that he goes off. Is it the number one reason? No. Is it a factor? Yes.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think these are all legitimate things to wonder about as these guys. This is the trading season now. And so there are going to be a lot of decisions made here in the next few weeks. So what do we got? We got 17 days left in July and then 3 days in August for the trading deadline. So we're inside of 3 weeks of the trading deadline. There are going to be a lot of decisions made on a lot of people here in the next few weeks. And I have no info on this. It would not surprise me if the Red Sox trade Marcelo Meyer.
They should.
Okay, it would not surprise me in the least bit. I've come to the conclusion they have no need or use for him anymore. So one is, let's start with the most obvious thing. He's playing poorly. Mm-hmm. And it has been for a while. He's always hurt. They have a guy in the minor leagues who's coming rapidly that plays the same position. Now, I don't think they should rush Franklin Arias here, but I think that he's going to be in the big leagues before the end of next year on some level.
Yeah, his stock is obviously way higher than Meyer's at this point.
Okay, so now when I say in the big leagues, I'm not saying he's a starter. I'm not saying, and I mean immediately. Mm-hmm. But he is getting close to the big leagues. You start ripping up AA, you're close to the big leagues. Now, I'm sure they wanted bats in AAA. But you add all that up, there's no need to keep this kid. There isn't. And if you can get something for him and you can do it now, bye-bye.
The problem is, Mazz, you're not getting for him what you once would have gotten for him. But I'm willing to say it's a lost cause. I'm willing to say, yeah, you're getting 20 cents on the dollar compared to what you would have gotten for Marcelo Meyer a few years ago. Good. Fine. It is what it is. I'm not thrilled about it, but I mean, it is addition by subtraction. I would make the same argument with Jarren Duran, too. It's like, they've held on to him for so long because they wanted to maximize his value. At what point does keeping the player around actually hurt you? I'd make the argument that Meyer is hurting them. I think it's hurting them, on the field, off the field, just the culture of the franchise in general. Like, I think they do need to admit defeat on the Chaim Bloom 5-year plan. Just about most of those guys who came up have not been what they are. It's time to say that era failed. We're going to move on from that. I'd make the same argument with a guy like Duran, too. It's like you're better off without this mess, because it is a mess.
Let's bring in Tom and Federal Hill on difference in toughness of some players versus others. Good, Tom.
How you doing, Mazz? I just wanted to run one by you. Last week, about a week or so ago, Caleb Durbin dove into first base, head first. He dislocated his finger. I saw it close up. Yeah. His finger was pointing the way it's not meant to go. He comes out of the game. The next night, he's in the lineup. He's got his two fingers taped together. He hits a home run. He makes two great plays in the field. How long do you think these two jabronis would have been out if it happened to either one of them, Meyer and what's his name there?
Anthony.
Roman Anthony. If I would have been out the whole season.
Yeah, so look, again, you're not wrong to include Anthony in the discussion. I'm just telling you, I'm giving Anthony a little more latitude. But I think Marcelo Meyer's history is pretty well documented. As you said, that stat, Matt, basically, that he's never played 100 games in a season.
No, he never has.
Has he gotten to 80?
He got to 90 once, and last year he did 43 plus 44. What would that be? 87.
Okay, so like I look at that and I say, if you want to play baseball, well, and you can't play more than 90 games, that's a problem. That's half the schedule. The season's 162. And I keep saying this, it's a grind. The baseball season is a grind. I used to have this discussion years ago with Bill Ballou of the Worcester Telegram, and he said that the game wears you down. It's a game of exposure. That's what the whole thing is. They're going to send you out there every day until you crack. It's a complete marathon. It is designed to break you down. That's the whole idea. Can you hack it? Mentally, can you hack it? And if Marcelo Meyer can't hack it, then what good is he?
So just look this up. 2022 in single A, he did finish the year. He got hurt in the middle of the year, but he did finish the year. 2023, the last date Marcelo Meyer played was August 2nd. 2024, if you wait with me here 1 second, Mazz, the last date Marcelo Meyer played was July 30th. 2025, which was last year, when was I don't know, mid-July probably?
Somewhere in there.
I'll look that up here because it's going to be
okay,
minor league
no
related.
problem. No, but it's worth looking up.
July 23rd.
Okay, so again, 2 of the years, the last game he played was at the end of July. The other one was early August?
Yep, August 2nd.
So he gets to the end of summer, and I'm done.
End of summer.
Middle of summer. Middle of summer.
And this year was June 25th. I bet you don't see Marcelo Meyer for the rest of this year, which frankly I'd be fine with. You're a better baseball team without him, both on the field and off. I'd make the exact same argument about Trevor Story too, Mazz. Like, you want to talk about changing a culture here, and we go back to the Wilson Contreras comments about the guys who have come up from AAA who have really helped them. No doubt there's a ceiling to that, and eventually it's going to catch up with you. But do you want to bring entitled Trevor Story back into the mix with his strikeouts and his performance on the field? The guy who, kept going on and on about Cora getting fired. Yeah, the reason he kept going on and on about Cora getting fired is because Cora was his chief enabler in the organization.
Cora protected him.
He let him get away with murder. Baseball murder. Every single day. He was starting shortstop, batting second, batting fifth, wherever it was. Do you want to bring that level of entitlement back into the organization? Same with Marcelo Meyer. I'd say same with Brian Bayo, who I know pitched the other day and pitched well, but you're better off without him too. Like, there was the Mike Vrabel line, we're going to remove entitlement from the organization. Haven't the Red Sox accidentally removed entitlement from the organization with the injuries that they've had to guys who I think are bad for that room? Meyer's bad for the room. I'd argue Story's bad for the room. I know they say he's a leader. That's a bad thing. Bayo, undeniably bad for the room. No wonder they're starting to play better baseball. You got some guys with real attitude problems, and more importantly, real on-the-field baseball problems the hell off the roster. No wonder they're playing better baseball.
I think entitlement has removed itself from the roster.
They didn't do it. It happened accidentally.
I mean, really, it's the one guy that the Red Sox are really sort of beholden to in this thing, and this might be the reason they're going to treat him separately at the end of the day, is Anthony.
Yep, because he has the talent.
And he has a contract.
Yeah.
So they've already invested the money in him.
And the question is, Mazz, we didn't hear all this stuff about Anthony coming up through the minors. It was there with Meyer. There were rumblings about it. It was never there with Anthony. What happened? They paid him. They paid him last year. What does the guy really have to prove? The check cashes either way. I'd say it's the same issue with Marcelo Meyer. 18 years old. You get handed, $6.8 million or whatever that signing bonus was. You invest that thing, you're set for life, my friend. You big league minimum doesn't matter. I mean, he's rich. He doesn't have to prove anything. He already proved it when he got drafted. So you hand the entire organization over to guys like that, and this goes back to the Alex Cora comment, it changes the clubhouse? Yeah, because you need to balance out the guys who have been paid and the guys who have not been paid and the grinders, and sometimes those guys need to, keep the guys who have it very cushy, they need to keep them on edge a little bit. They didn't have too many of those guys because they paid all their young players before they had anything to prove. No wonder it failed.
I mean, it's really amazing when you look at it. Meyer's out. Anthony's out. Crochet's out. Suarez went down. I'm throwing pitchers in there, too.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, Bregman left. And you're going with Durbin, Cheng, Siegler, Eaton, Monasterio. Have I left anybody out?
I mean, pitching side, you'd say a guy like Jake Bennett
I
comes
mean,
up from AAA.
And you've gone 14-2.
You're a way better baseball team than you were at the beginning of the year. Give Chad Tracy some credit for that, too.
I don't see any reason, like, I've heard a lot of people say, well, when Meyer comes back, you got to give him the job back.
No.
Anthony, I feel differently about because his ceiling is higher than a lot of your hitters. But with Meyer, I don't see a single reason why Meyer has to play on the big league team again this year.
Yeah.
Not one. Whether it's Chang at shortstop or take whoever you want to put over there. Monasterio, I don't love over there. But even so, I'll take it. I'll take it over Meyer if you're just going to give me crappy at-bats anyway. And whether it's Chang or Siegler's played over there too, hasn't he?
Yeah,
a little bit of sure he's
played
more
mostly second. I think Siegler's played a little bit of short this year in Worcester. I'd have to look at that. I think one game I was there, he may have played.
But I'll tell you what, I'm fine with Chang there. I'm okay with that. Play Chang at shortstop, fine. Again, and I haven't seen a crap ton of them over there, but I'll tell you what, I don't think it's killing him to have him at shortstop. He might be average. It's fine. I don't think there's any reason to go out of your way to get Marcelo Meyer back on the big league roster. At best, I would send him to AAA. And when I say best for him, other than that, I would trade his ass. I'm done with him.
You and me both, Mazz. Welcome to the party. I was there 2 years ago. Real quick, Siegler only played second and third in Worcester. He did not play short this year.
Okay, I didn't know if he had played short. I thought he played short a game for the Red Sox in the big leagues. Maybe I'm wrong. I'd have to look at that.
Actually,
anyway,
nowhere in the minors did he play short.
Okay, so he doesn't play shortstop. He's purely a second baseman.
Fine by me. And that's where Meyer is playing. They didn't put him at shortstop until Story went down. So, which again, you want to talk about entitlement. Trevor Story at shortstop. Give me a break.
Matt, thank you for joining.
Hey, I'll see you tomorrow.
Much appreciated. All-Star game tonight. Who's got the night show? Is it Joe Murray?
I think it is Joe.
Oh,
yes.
Joe Murray's actually in for his own show.
Yeah, I think it's the only one this week.
Jeez, what do you know?
Don't get used to it.
What a novel concept. Guy actually gets to do his own show. How about that?
For one night and one night only.
Majority will have
Mazz continues when?
Who does?
Summer Mazz continues when?
Friday. Thursday. Actually, yeah. Tomorrow's the last day of the work week of Mazz.
Sure.
It's like a state employee. On Wednesday, he walks in and says, hey, see you guys on Monday.
In fact, it's safe to say that at this stage, the work days interrupt the summer of Mazz, is really what it comes down to.
Cosign.
It's really what it comes down to. It's that time of year. What can I tell you? So, Majority's got your headlines. Thanks again, Matt.
See you, Mazz.
We'll catch you tomorrow.
Stay tuned for more of the Baseball Hour with Tony Mazz.
Need a space shot? Rent one of our clean, dry, ground-level storage containers from Eagle Leasing today.
This is the story